The house was finally quiet. No one was making demands of me. No meltdowns. My son was happy and engaged on his iPad, and for the first time all day, there was space for me to finally rest. I was so tired. I sat down, closed my eyes, and immediately felt this jolt in my body. You should be doing something, I hear in my head. My mind flooded with the mental to-do list, laundry, dishes, emails, and instead of resting, I got up again. Have you ever had a moment like that where you really want to relax and rest, and you're so tired and stressed, but your mind won't let you? Where stillness feels almost unsafe and rest just doesn't land in your body? Why is that? If this sounds familiar, if you can't rest even when your child is calm, then this episode is for you. I'm going to break down why this happens, how it affects your parenting, and how to begin restoring your nervous system's ability to relax and recover so you can show up as the regulated parent that you want to be. So there was a time when my son was activated so many times a day and having so many intense, aggressive meltdowns and rages and destroying things in the house that even when things were calm, I couldn't relax. I would spend most of my time giving him attention, co-regulating him, managing the meltdowns, and then with whatever time that was left over, I'd be busy doing the cooking and cleaning. And in between, if I did get any moments to myself, I would end up phone scrolling. Okay. And the times where I just tried to close my eyes and rest, another thought would just pop into my head telling me to get yet another thing done. Right. So I could not sit still, even if I tried. So here's how I was feeling at the time, right? I felt like I was always on edge, waiting for the next meltdown, rage to happen, or I had to race to get all these other things done when I had any free time away from co-regulating my son or handling the intense meltdowns. So what was happening was that my body was believing that I had to stay on because I had to be ready for the next thing, right? So can you relate? Highly activating environment makes sense, right? My nervous system's like, I got to stay on. I got to be ready for the next challenge. And my body also didn't want to feel shocked by the next aggressive meltdown that was going to happen. It wanted to feel prepared. So instead, I stayed on and in ready mode, constantly on, waiting for the next intensity to arrive. My body also believed that I had to stay hovering in doing mode so that I would not collapse with exhaustion and not be able to do anything at all because I couldn't afford to do that either. I had to stay functioning to take care of my kid and get stuff done. So, what was happening here is that my nervous system was getting stuck in hypervigilance mode. And this is very common with all the moms that I work with, okay? Hypervigilance is a state where your nervous system is stuck in the on mode, okay? So it's always hovering in sympathetic, fight or flight. It's scanning for danger, even that when there is no danger. Okay, it's a state of readiness, right? Like I have to be ready. I always have to be on and be ready to handle the next thing that's going to happen. And this makes sense, right? It's our survival system doing what it needs to do because when our child, activates multiple times a day, our nervous system learns it's not safe to relax. We have to be ready. And if you also have to stay on all the time to co-regulate because your child doesn't tolerate it well when you want to rest, then the reality is that your nervous system can take on this pattern of staying on and, because it's learned that that's what it has to do. But the natural pattern, okay, that we want to restore is this natural rhythm of activation followed by relaxation. But that all gets disrupted when we're parenting a child with high needs and our nervous system feels like it has to stay on all the time. That natural rhythm gets disrupted. So common signs that you may be stuck in hypervigilance is that you can't sit still, you're always doing, rest feels uncomfortable. Okay, you may be fidgeting a lot, just moving a lot, your mind is racing a lot. Okay, so those are some of the common symptoms of being on hypervigilance. And the key point here that I want to make is that you're not broken, okay? Your nervous system is just doing what it's designed to do to protect you, okay? But in order to heal your nervous system and be a more regulated parent, it is important to teach your nervous system to come back to the ventral vagal state of deeper rest, repair, and relaxation. Because when you can rest and regenerate, then you can handle the next challenge with greater ease. So we need to teach our nervous system again that it's okay to go through the cycles of being on, and then it's also okay to come off and rest. And we literally have to reteach that to ourselves. Okay, but I have many mom clients whose nervous systems do not like to come down to rest and repair. So when we're in a session and I help bring them to a relaxed state, sometimes there's a quick jump back into sympathetic to stay on, right? So this is very telling of how the nervous system has become wired to hover in the sympathetic. And when we explore this, what they hear inside is, if I actually allow myself to rest, I will go into dorsal shutdown and feel so exhausted, and then I won't be able to get anything done. So I need to override this need to rest and get everything done. And then only can I rest. Okay? So notice this fear of resting, right? And the meaning that we take on about resting in our day and giving ourselves breaks. And this often can come from our culture as well. So, not just our experience with our kids, but we live in a culture of doing and feeling good if we can do more and get more done, right? And oftentimes, like, we don't feel good enough as a mom, and our mothering doesn't feel good enough. So then we try to find those feelings of feeling good by getting other stuff done and feel like, well, at least I can control this and affect this and make myself feel good because I don't feel good about my mothering, right? So notice that. We also live in an environment, which is the truth, that our kids have high needs. And the reality is that we're constantly needing to meet their needs, right? And so these patterns of not allowing ourselves to rest, which is deeply embedded into our nervous system wiring, can come from our conditioning, right? Cultural or family conditioning. So I remember a time when, I remember I've often felt lazy to lie around and just watch TV, okay? Then I hear the judgment, the criticism going on in my head about lying around and resting. And why is this? Because when I was young, when I really needed to lay around and rest, and my mother had it in her mind that she wanted to clean the house and wanted us to all get up and clean with her, I was sent this messaging that I was being lazy, when what I was really doing was listening to my body's need for rest. So then I learned it's not good to listen to my body's need for rest. Rest actually means that I'm lazy, right? I'm lazy if I rest. So I took on that meaning, and that's the conditioning that has stayed with me that keeps me sort of stuck in doing mode, right? So allowing ourselves to rest and not being able to rest and being stuck in hypervigilance and stuck on usually comes before we had our kids. And this pattern of not allowing ourselves to rest just becomes more exacerbated when we have high needs kids. Okay. So it didn't start with our kids, but definitely becomes exacerbated when we have high needs kids, where we have to stay on more. Okay. But there is a cost to this, unfortunately, because staying on mounts stress load. It leaves you more in a state of reactivity, so easy to react, and it also leaves you easy to shut down, right? So hypervigilance may feel like you're being productive or protective, but it mounts a huge stress load on your system. And staying in that sympathetic on state all day burns a lot of energy, right? We're hovering in sympathetic, we're burning a lot of energy, and we can only do this for so long before the body eventually says this is unsustainable. And then we drop into dorsal vagal shutdown, which is that state of collapse, exhaustion, helplessness, feeling trapped, where all the stories of despair come from. Okay, so in shutdown, we may feel things like heavy, numb, disconnected from our body, a deep fatigue or brain fog, emotionally shut down or overwhelmed, and thoughts of, I just can't, it's all too much. Okay, this is your nervous system's last resort to conserve energy. And it's not a personal failure, okay? This is not personal failure. This is biology doing what it needs to do. Okay, so here's what's important to understand. When you don't teach your nervous system how to rest and relax again, you're carrying more and more stress inside. And the more stress living in your system, the more easily you're primed to react to your child, right? So, like, even to the smallest things. So, think about it as like a bathtub that's always hovering on full or near full. And you have all the stress load mounting from staying on, and the bathtub is on full. And then it's just so easy to add one little thing to it and it overflows. Okay, so you then find yourself yelling, snapping, or shutting down. And not because you're a bad parent, okay, but because your nervous system is maxed out. And then on the flip side, right, when you allow yourself moments of rest and reset, your nervous system releases some of that accumulated stress, okay? You regenerate and you restore. And then when the next challenge comes up, because it always will, you can meet it with greater presence, softness, and capacity. Okay. So, what you're doing when you're resting is you're emptying that bathtub, okay, and lowering the load so that then you actually have room to mount some load and stress energy when the next challenge comes up. So this is why it's first really important to notice how this pattern shows up with awareness. So can you become aware, right, that you're stuck in hypervigilance and on? And then can you allow yourself the opportunity to release the stress load? You know, even doing something like shaking it off at first to just release some of that stress throughout your day. That's something that can really help release some of that mounting stress load in your body. And then finally, help your system to remember how to come back into full rest and relaxation so that it can regenerate and restore. And you can do this with micro practices, okay? So you're like rebuilding that rest reflex in small ways. Okay, so at some point, I had to do literally like a 20-minute practice for my body to come all the way down. And that's because I had chronic health issues at the time. And so I really needed that 20-minute practice. But I know all of you won't start that way. And the first step is to just, start with micro practices. And if you can build some time in your day for a 20-minute practice, that would be great. But okay, the first step is to just notice. Okay, notice when you're about to scroll on your phone instead of rest. Notice when you sit down and immediately feel that urge to pop back up and go do something else that needs to get done. Okay. That moment of noticing is powerful because as you become the awareness of that urge and you can notice it and be with it, then you start to unblend from it and step into more of who you truly are. And that activates your ventral vagal system alone. Okay. Then you can try one of these micro practices, just a few minutes to help your nervous system feel the present moment again. Okay. So remember when we're stuck whenever we're stuck in any sort of fight, flight, or freeze mode, we're not in the present moment. So bringing yourself back to the present moment is activating your ventral vagal system and helping when it comes online, then it helps you go into rest. and repair, okay, where you can then regenerate. So grounding is one of the first micro practices that I always teach my clients. So feeling your feet on the floor, when you take a moment, just feeling your feet on the floor, noticing the sensations of your feet on the floor. Is it cool or warm, firm or soft? And just being with that for a few moments, okay? When we ground ourselves and bring ourselves back into the present, your body starts to shift and relax and release some of that stress load. Another option is feeling the support of yourself in the chair. So feeling the support of the chair on your bum or your back. And can you feel the sensations of that, right? And let your body start to come down out of that stuck on mode. Then you can also orient to the room to bring yourself back to the presence. So gently moving your head and neck. You look around the room slowly, allow your eyes to lead you, and land on something in the room that brings you a sense of comfort or safety, or something neutral, like a plant, a photo, soft blanket, okay, or looking outside the window at some nature. Let your eyes rest on it and take it in. And then feel the shift in your body. Notice what happens inside when you connect with that sense of comfort. Can you feel any settling or softening in the body? Okay, because that will motivate you to keep doing it. So even 2 to 3 minutes of this can begin to shift your state. And if you can bring it in multiple times a day, then you are actually releasing little bits of stress load throughout the day. Okay. And then over time, you can build tolerance for deeper rest by gradually lengthening the practice. Okay. So when you're ready for more, and sometimes the micro practices won't be enough, they'll bring you down a bit only for you to pop back up. And when you're ready for more, can you then do a longer practice? Okay. So sometimes, when you're doing a micro practice and you're not coming down, you might have too much load in your body. So you might want to start by just doing a shake off where you stand up, or you can do it in a chair too. And if you're feeling really tired, and just gently shake your body, shake your whole body, and do it for a couple of minutes. You can even shake your back and your spine, and allow yourself to just release some of that stored stress energy. And then if you can, lie down and rest. So lie down on a couch or a bed, or I use what's called a yogi bow. It's a bean bag, a long bean bag that really gives my the sensory input of supporting my whole body, and it feels amazing. So I had to do that for a while to get my system to move into more rest, right? Because I could drop into it. Then feel the weight of your body on the surface. Feel the support of your body on the couch, right? So feel it on your back, on your legs, on your head. And then you can bring some breathing in. You can place a hand on your heart and one on your belly. Feel the sensations of that first. And then bring in some breathing to activate your vagus nerve and your parasympathetic rest, repair, digest system. So you can inhale for 4 seconds, exhale for 6 seconds. So a longer exhale than an inhale, and through the nose. Okay. And then you just stay here and you do that for 20 minutes or 30 minutes, even if possible. Okay. But maybe even at least 15 to 20 minutes. And, using that touch, that self-holding, and you can also bring in soothing words if this helps, like it's safe to rest now. Okay. So that's a longer practice you can bring in. And then I wanted to mention something that really helped my nervous system. Okay. It's called Rest and Repair Protocol by Unite. Okay. So Unite is UNYTE, unite.com. And this rest and repair protocol, it's a newer tool of theirs, and it's one of the most helpful tools that I've used to really help deepen my ability to rest and repair. And I use this multiple times a week for 15 minutes. I lie down, I put on the headphones, and I listen to this protocol to train my nervous system to access deeper states of rest. So here's what it is. It's a neuroscience-based listening program developed by Dr. Stephen Porges and Anthony Gorey. And what it does is it uses these sound frequencies that are designed to regulate physiological rhythm. So it helps regulate your heart rate, your breath, your digestion, right? All the systems of the parasympathetic that we need to go into deeper rest in the parasympathetic states. Okay, so it brings the body into these deeper parasympathetic states, which is the rest, repair, digest state of ventral vagal. Okay. And why it helped me was that I had early trauma that kept my system in chronic hypervigilance. And even after processing the emotional aspects of this trauma, my body still had this residual holding pattern, and I couldn't fully drop into deep states of rest. I could get into like a certain deep state, but not like an even deeper state that could totally help me regenerate. And so rest and repair protocol has really helped to retrain my system to feel safe in the stillness, right? It's gentle, it's passive, but it's really powerful. So it's a tool I now rely on, when my system feels so stuck to come down. So say I've had to get a lot done in my day and there's been a lot of activation inside, then I'll do like a shake off and I'll lie down and put this on, and it helps get me there to that deeper state of rest faster than I could do on my own. So that's something you can check out as well on their website, which I'll link in the notes. So the invitation here is to first become aware of this pattern of hypervigilance and being stuck on and always feeling like you have to do, and notice the inability to relax, right? Awareness is the first step. Then use micro practices to reconnect with your body, okay, and with safety in the present moment. And then when you're ready, layer in longer periods of rest or use tools like Unite's Rest and Repair Protocol to go deeper. And with time, your nervous system can learn that rest is safe and that stillness doesn't mean collapse, right? That you don't have to stay on all the time to be a good mom or to be ready to handle the next challenge, right? Your system will actually be more ready to handle the next challenge if it actually gets some time to rest and regenerate first, right? So that's the irony of it all. So just understand that you're not failing, okay? Your nervous system is doing its best to survive challenging parenting circumstances, right? Where we feel like we have to stay on a lot. But now with this new awareness, can you gently teach your body a new way to live and thrive instead of just survive while parenting your high needs child?